Yo, yo, my sovereigns, what up? This is Boba Fett, uncensored on the internet, with episode 113 of Splinterlands 101. Joining us once again, co-hosts of the show, finest gentlemen who have lived, Matt Clark.
Howdy, howdy.
The man behind the Pouffe Poussey, Geotrix.
How are we, gentlemen?
And Geo, during the week, Mango Mayhem reached out to you and suggested that we have a particular person come on the show today for a particular reason, and reached out, and we have with us today. If you are not familiar with the face, clearly you never got into Splinterlands TV in the Twitch days, but you will know the name. Welcome to the show, Damour. Damour de Merrier, as you should say.
Indeed. Thanks for having me, guys. It's really nice to be here.
Mm-hmm. So, Gio, since Mango reached out to you and suggested, why don't you give Damour here a bit of the 101 welcome and lead in, and we find out what exciting news he has for us.
Look, man, a pleasure having you here. We just wanted to get you on for a little while. At least I did. I know I probably never, told the rest that. But where should we start? I guess you've probably been asked this a million times. How did you start? And when did you start actually streaming and whatever else? What's your origin story?
What's my journey? Okay.
Or your origin story, even if you just want to skip to the origin story. I don't know.
Fine.
Because
just the exciting stuff.
You're a mythical creature in this space. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for that intro, Geotrix.
It's the best I can do.
That was amazing. I really appreciate it. I didn't realize I had people who supported me like that in the community. So I kind of stumbled on Splinterlands. I'm also one of the 2021 boys. I think that was probably the largest influx we had into Splinterlands, and I don't think we've had since. We've had people attempting to play, but they come and go, sadly. So yeah, I'm one of the 2021 guys. So joined in the bull run just after Untamed sold out. I got in on the days where I was purchasing my lore 1 PCX on the market, thinking I'm the bee's knees, and meantime I needed 115 of these guys, but I didn't realize that. Be that as it may, I was already into crypto at that time, so I was specifically looking for a crypto game that. No, let me rephrase. I was looking for a game that I could own the assets and that I could earn. Right? And I really, it was through an ad, I think, somewhere. I don't exactly recall what it was that made me click on the Splinterlands banner or whatever it is, but I followed it. It could have been Brave. I'm a Brave user, so very, very possible it was a Brave ad, because I don't think they were advertising in many places, right? So it couldn't have been many different places. Anyway, I clicked, I went down the rabbit hole, and I loved it. I mean, I watched streamers like Infidel, Bulldog, those guys, and they got me into the game. For my streaming side, that was really just coincidence, or I suppose you could say I was in the right place at the right time. I happened to be on a stream with my guildmates, which was a YGG guild at the time, the Dragons. We had regular streams, we had tournaments on a monthly basis, and Splinterlands, one of the team reached out and said, hey, we're starting a new thing called Splinterlands TV. We're looking for streamers. If you're interested, send an email here. I'd never streamed before, thought about it, like not being the host, the actual person doing the streaming. I've joined shows, but that's a very different thing, being a being a guest as opposed to being the host, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I had my very first live show on Splinterlands TV, and I learned, you know, the hard way. I was thrown in the deep end, and I kind of swam, and here I am. So that's a short introduction. Please feel free to ask more.
I love you jumping into the deep end. I always thought of that as an Australian expression, and it's something I teach my students, my English students, when they want to learn some idioms or some phrasal verbs. It's the first time I've heard someone else actually like jump in and use that in a long time. We use that a lot here in Australia. Well, I can't even say that anymore here in Australia.
Where you're not exactly right now, I believe. You're somewhere else.
I am 17 hours back in the past, and it's crazy, 17 hours time difference from
Sure.
Geo, 16 and a half hours time difference from Matt, and I believe about 14 hours time difference from yourself. So here in Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico, and yeah, just living that different lifestyle at the moment.
Wonderful.
And quite enjoying it. Gio commented before we started recording, like, I'm getting redder and redder every time I come on the show.
The sun's good in Mexico for sure. But you know, I think Australia is also pretty good for the sunshine.
It is. It's on par. But I've never always been red. I think though, because I'm somewhere new and I'm always in exploratory mode, I'm always out a lot.
You're
And
going out.
I have a nice hat, you know, got it like a rim, but I'm still copping that sun every day. And when
Sun's good for us. Vitamin D, man. That's wonderful.
Absolutely, yes.
But he's overloaded.
there is a thing as too much sun. There is a thing as too much sun, for sure.
I'm stacking my vitamin D
You're
for the bull run.
Okay.
Yeah, you should see my D chips. Yeah, just stacking it up for the bull run. Speaking of getting some nice candles lately, and
lovely, man.
I can't remember, because Gio said he's wanted you on for a while. I can't remember if I actually reached out to you, because I know during the Twitch days, I think I did reach out to you. I can't remember, or if we just talked about it. And then I heard your conversation with Beach Angles on the People's Guild, when you're talking about, and I can't remember if you were talking about Thailand or about South Africa, when you're saying like all the power outages, it's just a normal everyday part of life.
Well, that's South Africa. That's South Africa. It's not
Africa.
Thailand. Thank goodness. I would be going crazy if I had to live like that. That's insane. I feel sorry for my fellow South Africans back home, man. It's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
Very corrupt.
As I would argue all governments are worldwide.
Yes.
We're all on the same page here. We are totally on the same page here. Yeah. We're all sort of little anarchists in some level, degree or another here. And I think maybe, you know, even at the current state, like, can we do without government at this point? There's a transitory process, but we certainly need to restrict what it is and what it can do. And that's what I really like about Mexico. The government doesn't really have a lot of power, and people here don't really listen to the government. If the government says this is what you should be doing, no one really does it. So I really like that. Yeah,
that's better for me. I'm of the firm belief, you know, small units, city states, right? Rather, I would even go so far as to say town states. And everybody, every little town producing whatever it is that they can do well, right? And everybody working together in the town producing that in excess, so they can share with the people around them, sell for money, get money flowed into the town, and then, right, you have an economy. Everybody produces, everybody is flourishing. But anyway, we're jumping into a way different topic. I'm not sure if we want to go here. Feel free to change the subject.
Yes. So Mango Mayhem mentioned that, and this is another guest we've had on the show from Team Philippines, who is not actually Filipino. So we've got to ask, what's happening here? What is this Team Philippines? And like, because you know, Mango's British, and you got the accent is a little bit of a giveaway. that you're
Sure.
not Filipino. Um, so yeah, you mentioned you got some exciting news and some stuff happening, and Gio recently participated in a tournament and won.
Yeah,
it
that was
like,
fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
I'm glad
no,
you
it was
liked
cool.
it. I would love to
Yeah.
hear your thoughts on it, man.
Well, it's just like a normal tournament, right? But like, I don't usually do those these days because
Mhm.
I don't know. I think people bot tournaments. I think they use battle helpers. I think it's
I
still
agree.
prevalent.
I
So
agree.
I personally don't like to get involved with that. I just feel like it's
Yeah.
like my time wasted.
Yes.
And and I say this full well knowing I'm not a strong player. I'm more of
Yeah.
just a random player. I play random lineups and I just swing for the stars, right? I just swing it anywhere and see where it lands, you know? But I felt like at least that game, the one I played there, no, I knew I was versing players. I just knew it. The
Yeah.
lineups looked organic and it was good. So that showed me that there was a side to that space that is interesting and fun. But on the open space, non-private, the
Yeah.
public tournament scene, I
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah.
Just can't do it. It's like, yeah,
It doesn't feel good, man. It doesn't feel
yeah, it
good. And
doesn't.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. There's, for me, I'm trying to kind of be a beacon of light for Splinterlands community and creating a space. And I don't know if you guys are aware or have any experience about how TCGs or tabletop games ran tournaments. Have you ever been to something like that? Have you ever
Yes.
experienced that? You have.
Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh
Yu-Gi-Oh!
at my
Wonderful.
locals. At my
Yeah,
locals. Yeah.
right. So many examples. Magic the Gathering is one. Hero Clicks is one. Warhammer is another, right?
Yeah.
And for me, what those tournaments really brought to the table was the bonding of community, firstly, right? Your clans, your guilds being able to send representatives of their clan to go and show off what we can do, right?
Yeah.
Bonding between players, right? Because now you get to see a really awesome play from the other side of the table. You walk around and you say, hey man, geez, well played. You make a friendship,
Yeah.
and you learn new skills, right?
Yeah.
And the crowning for me, and this is for me really what I hope that the Splinterlands team can bring to the table, because I've kind of done everything else myself already, is at those events, there is like a promo card or a special unit that
Yeah.
only the players of the tournament get, not even
Yeah.
the viewers, right?
You're right.
Just the players,
Yeah.
right? And maybe asking for a promo card is a bit much, right? Because that's kind of their cash cow. Okay, so I get it. So maybe give me a skin. Give me an animation. Give me a sound effect on my monster card that I've already purchased, right? Making mine a little bit more special or different to everybody else's, right? No cost involved. It's cosmetic, right? So that it doesn't give you abilities. There's no gimmicks. There's no, added things. It's just for status. Hey man, I was here and you weren't. When are you gonna come?
Yeah.
Like a frame for I'm thinking even a frame for your avatar. You know how we choose an avatar?
Sure.
You had something that indicates I've been a human in a human tournament, right? That's my, and that way it's bragging rights in every match you're in. Somebody go, oh, this is probably a person, right?
Exactly.
Sky's the limit with that though.
Exactly. It opens up so many opportunities for Splinterlands to really turn this into an esport event, right?
How
As
about
opposed
this?
to what it is
Yeah.
now.
How about this? Even like on your side of the playing field, the background changes to like to the tournament that you attended. It's like YCS 2024 or something, like shit like that, right? Like that's what
I like
it's
that.
your
I
it's your
like
own,
that.
because that's what they used to do for
An
Yu-Gi-Oh.
arena.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
A custom arena for you.
yeah. If
That's
you join,
fantastic.
Yeah, they literally had mats, like playing mats, that were only for the top 3. There you go.
Wow, wow,
Yeah,
that's
it was
amazing.
really,
That's amazing. I love that. I love that.
yeah,
That's fantastic. All right.
cool.
And in my opinion, very, very easy to bring and code into the game, right? It can't be too difficult to do it.
Entirely.
Um, Now I realize that other people may replicate, what I'm trying to do here, but I think that's okay, right? I think in fact that'll be good for our economy. So I'm okay with people stealing my ideas. In fact, I wanna support that, right? Go right ahead and create tournaments of your own that have real players, right? Yeah.
So with the like synchronistic side of like how you got into Splinterlands, clicking on a random ad, and then the into the streaming. What I mean, I was like, long hours and some days into the Twitch streaming, and I I think I expanded my personal base of who I knew from within the game, because before that, there's 3 or 4, maybe 5 YouTubers that everyone in the game knows, but
Yes.
beyond that, all you've got is this name that keeps coming up in ranked battles or in brawls, and it's either, oh, not him again, and you're going to get flogged, or
All right.
or
Wonderful.
it's just a name, but you see it all the time, and you wonder, who is that person? And thus the theme with our guest episodes, behind the avatar. Who is this? There's a person behind that, and I think that the whole Splinterlands TV side really opened that up to a lot of people. Putting a face to something. I mean, we're all human. We are social beings, and being able to put a face. And we've had guests on the show, privacy reasons, and depending where they live, security reasons, they don't want to show their face, and that's
Understood.
fair enough. But just when you get to see a face, and then next time you see that name, you've got an immediate association. Can that be done? And I know it's difficult, time zones and that kind of thing, but with tournaments, is there a way, whether it's just an individual agreement, when certain tournaments take place, maybe at least in the final rounds, the semi-final, so to speak, that players can use, like, incorporate some streaming or
I
some
would
form of
love
connection?
I would love for there to be a messaging direct system that tournament players can use, right? Exactly, to help with what I said earlier, right? That bonding of the players at tournament events, right? Because if you don't have that communication, that look in the eye, that smile when a good hit happens, right? That bond doesn't happen. And that is what I feel we're missing at the moment. It is what we don't have.
Yeah.
So I'm very much in support of that, Boba Fett. In fact, I think I mentioned it in the episode last night on our talk show about guilds, and the social aspect, right? This part that is missing.
And that's a good point. So you mentioned before we started recording that you've a new stream, a new co-host. Tell us about that and what it is, where people can find it. We'll drop a link below. But yeah, tell people about this new phase, this new direction.
Right. So we're hoping to do a show a week. I'm not sure if we'll reach that goal. It is a new talk show. It is with my fellow Team PH member, GB. He's our resident coder. He's also the guy responsible for many of the tools that we're using to enable the tournament, right? But yeah, me and him have decided to create a little bit of a talk show. The shows will be between 30 minutes and an hour, usually, give or take, where we tackle not only Splinterland stuff, largely Splinterland stuff, but Web3, crypto, decentralization, that type of thing, the stuff that interests us. And yeah, at the moment, our first episode got released yesterday. And yeah, you can catch me on YouTube, which I'll share later with you guys.
Do you post on Peaked as well on the Hive blockchain, or?
I do. I have my Pete article, PT article out. In fact, I put it also out last night, with the link to the YouTube. I would have liked to post to 3Speak, but I think they only take shorts for some reason. I'm not sure why.
No, no,
Or maybe I'm just doing it wrong.
all
I'm
of
not quite
these
experienced there.
all of these episodes on 101 all go on 3Speak.
Oh, so
And I've
you
been
do that.
yeah, doing 3Speak long before YouTube actually.
Okay.
I did have a YouTube channel a long time ago that was removed
Yeah.
due to some of the content, and
Okay.
so I just left YouTube for a while. But used to get a lot of comments saying, "Why aren't you on YouTube? Why aren't you on YouTube?" So one day I sat down, and luckily I had all of the episodes on a hard drive. So
And you
I
just
spent the day just uploading all the old episodes to YouTube. Now it goes on YouTube.
nice.
But I think with your shorts, when you do go to that page on 3Speak, there is
Yeah.
that warning saying it must be portrait, otherwise it won't
Yes.
count.
Yes.
And it looks like, oh, I'm on the wrong page. This is for
Yeah.
shorts, but it's just the way where they've put it. It looks like that. But if you just go ahead and click on upload your video,
It
then
will go.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try that. Because
All right.
honestly, I prefer the Hive 3Speak. And I'm looking into something, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, called Noster.
No.
So Noster is related to Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey is the guy who made Twitter originally. He's since left the company. It's no longer his. He's done Square after Twitter, and he's now doing Noster, which is kind of a platform messaging video, but in a decentralized form. And I know this has kind of been attempted before, but I think for the first time, and the reason why is I think he's tying it into the Bitcoin Lightning Network for payment type systems. So very exciting. You know, I don't know everything about it yet, but I'm exploring it at the moment.
Right. I mean, always something new in the space
To upload to.
Yeah, you can upload.
Should do that,
for
Bob.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing Odyssey, which originally was called Library, then now
Yes.
Odyssey.
Yes.
I much prefer the decentralized networks, and even like my episode on the People's Guild was actually pulled because I used one word
Oh
during the whole
no.
episode. The word starts with the
Yeah,
letter V,
sure.
and because of that, they pulled the whole episode.
Yeah,
And
they are so bad when they're draconian when it comes to these things, right?
yeah,
And unfortunately when we speak the truth, and it's so sad.
yeah.
But you know, yeah, it's
But
the
the
world we
whole
live in right
episode
now.
was about split. Like it was just
Yeah,
this 1 minute.
one word.
We went off to. I mentioned this V word that I don't drink apple juice, so to speak, and yeah, that was it. They pulled the whole episode, and I felt really
But that's
sorry
what
for
they
the
do.
guys.
They literally transcribe everything that's said like in the video, and then it just like highlights the word. Oh, yep, this is in our database as being flagged and no good. And then
Out you
that's
go.
it.
Yeah,
Bad man.
and
Yeah.
even one of our episodes, we made a reference or a quote to a Monty Python skit, and you know, Monty Python's very what's the word to use?
Influential.
Yeah, I'm thinking along the lines
Iconic.
of like iconic. Yeah, so you either know
Classic.
it or you don't,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So in reference to what we just said, I put like a minute of the clip in
Yes,
to show people, and
sure. Copyright
yep,
flag. Yeah.
yep, exactly. This 1 minute reference from Monty Python. So in that particular case, they just pulled the episode, and I just edited that
Get
episode
out.
and uploaded it again.
Yeah,
But you don't have to worry about any of that with 3Speak, with Odyssey,
Yeah.
with
that's the thing,
decentralized.
right? That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And for me, freedom of speech is important, right? Even
it's
if
huge.
people are saying things that you don't like to hear, it is important that people are allowed to say it, right?
Yes.
Because that means you're allowed to disagree with your government. If you're not allowed to disagree with your government, you've got problems. You've got much bigger problems than that. Okay. Yeah, it's important.
I mean, the whole, Julian Assange thing highlighted that one point.
Oh, yeah.
It's brought in Australia, and this has come up through
And he's
journalism.
Australian, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
In the country of Australia, it is a crime, like jail time. It is a crime to expose a
Government.
crime of the government.
Really?
So
Yeah, no, sorry, that's not right. That's not
even
right.
within if you are a journalist and you expose a crime the government has committed, that in itself is a crime, and the journalist is the one who goes to jail.
That's wrong, man. I'm sorry. That's not right.
Have you heard about Jordan Shanks, the one who exposed some Premier John Larrabaro or something from Sydney, and he got his house firebombed twice. The first time they missed and actually got the neighbor's place.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the government actually retaliated by attacking his house?
Well, someone who works for the government, like
for the government.
Yeah, I think he's a politician or something. Anyway, he got some bad guys because they're all in bed. He got some I think some mafia-esque sort of people to firebomb and try to kill him off because of what he said.
It reminds me of that scene in The Matrix where Morpheus is explaining to Neo that the system, that anybody in the system can be an agent and will fight to protect it, right? When under attack, right? So if there are people who are speaking out, people who are, showing the emperor with these naked clothes, they will get attacked, right? And this is a prime example of that in reality, right? It's sad, but it clearly demonstrates that.
Yeah.
Whack-a-mole. Stay down. No, it's popped up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can't catch them all, right? Even though you try to, you can't catch them all.
Whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Australia's very silly. Very silly here. Just by example, our Prime Minister, it came to light that he and the Governor General had conspired to have himself sworn in secretly to 5 cabinet positions.
What?
Now, that's completely unheard of. They're each meant to have a specific individual person attached to them. It was news for about a day, and then we all just moved on with our lives.
Yeah.
And they asked him, why did you do it? He said, just in case it became necessary. I thought with COVID it might be necessary, so I did it secretly. But it didn't matter, and it didn't become necessary. This is
Wow.
Actually made a meme about the news ABC at 12 o'clock, inside the twisted minds of jaded conspiracy theorists who think that powerful people conspire to centralise power and subvert democracy. And then at midday, how the Prime Minister and Governor General secretly conspired to centralise power and subvert democracy.
Literally. It's like, okay.
And we just all forgotten about it in one day. They told us about it on the news. It's a good thing. And then it was just gone. And everyone forgot about it.
And that's
but no one cares.
But it's because the mainstream media are paid by these people. They're not going to make a big story of it. It's not going to be news for 5 days, like the things they want to make news for 5 days to distract you from the real news, right? Like this example, right? Because that's real news. That's real stuff that people should know, right? Important things. But
even if they knew it, it's like, I have work tomorrow. I have to work 9 to 5. Let's just forget about it. They're distracted with other things just to live. They're distracted just to stay alive, pretty much. So they don't have
circuses.
Yeah,
this has been the ploy for a very, very long time. And we've been falling for it for a very long time, sadly.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a lot of fluoride in the water in Australia as well. So it's like it's easy to move on to something else and forget about it. So
there's a reason people are being dumbed down. It's much easier to control them.
Yeah. And you're interesting at your reference to the Matrix with the agent. Gio and I, because we're both from Melbourne, we're good friends. We used to hang out a lot. We have a lot of mutual friends in particular the Melbourne hip hop scene. And we'd go out somewhere and we'd like have a conversation with a random person, and we'd start targeting and just like touching on subjects And you might start with something nice and entry level, like, you know, UFOs, pyramids, and then you reach a certain point in the conversation where, like, the ripples through the matrix are now, and so you're touching on something very, very taboo. And this person you're talking to, genuinely interested in what you're saying, out of nowhere, someone will just turn up, like a friend or whatever, and just grab them, and they're gone.
Yeah.
Or someone will just burst in and interrupt your conversation talking about the football game last night, or what the latest thing that Britney is wearing at the Emmys, or, you know, it's like, it happens 100% of the time. You reach a certain level in that conversation, out of nowhere, someone comes, disrupts the conversation, and takes the person away. And we used to call that the agent program.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it can be, it may very well be, right? It may even be that that person you're talking to isn't quite ready for that next step. And he's calling in assistance to pull him out.
Yeah.
Unsubconsciously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm speculating here. I don't know for certain that that's the case, right? I mean, you know, but yeah.
Hey man, it's brainwaves and energy, electricity, right? It travels. It's a wireless thing that others may or may not receive to pick up, to interact with that person at that moment.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened.
Going deep today.
And that's why another interesting theme, when we ask people, how did you get into this space? How did you get on to Splinterlands? And every single person we've had so far, their story has been either synchronicity or randomness.
Yes.
Right. And I used this bot on Telegram once. It's called Shangri-La bot or something. And random noughts is the theme. And what it is, it's like a GPS type thing. And you choose like a radius, 5 kilometer radius, whatever. And when you hit it, it will generate just a random marker. And the thing is, you should go there straight away.
Okay.
Because in your daily life, we get into this routine, into a pattern. So there's very little room for random generation within your field. Now you're going along and your reality is caching in front of you because it knows where you're going, what you're going to do. And the idea of this program is it generates something completely random, and off you go. And
it puts you in a place that you wouldn't normally be.
Exactly.
Random situations, exactly.
And the stories in that Telegram group that people have experienced by doing that. And I had a pretty random one myself. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I ended up in this oval grassed area of a golf club somewhere out. And it had been raining. So my boots were sloshing through the wet grass. And I got to the got to the exact point on the marker. And someone on a push bike or something had done like a donut in the middle, and that was the exact point. And it was straight after that the coronavirus happened, and everything went stupid, and everything went crazy. And I thought, wow, have I gone somewhere? Have I gone through a portal? This isn't the world. But yeah, the stories that people have from doing this really has to make you think, you know, what are we in? What is our reality?
Sure, you know, and it brings up the simulation theory. It brings up, do we really have control or don't we? Is everything preordained? Interesting, very deep rabbit hole. Yeah.
What do you think? Do you have a theory?
I think, sure, I have many theories. Look, I mean, I love this topic. It is something that's very close to my heart, you know. For me, I think that there is something to these synchronicities, that there is something more that is, and understand that you have the choice, as each soul has their choice to either choose to follow a path or to not choose to follow a path. So you have that free will, right? The opportunity will be presented by universe, the God, source, whatever you choose to call it, right? Some people call it Allah, some people call it Jesus, many names, Buddha. But ultimately, I believe it's all the same thing. I don't believe there is a distinction. I think it's all one and the same. And that if we choose to take an opportunity, something may happen. It may be a bad experiences that teaches us lessons, or it may be an opportunity of wealth, of new business, of streaming, for example, like I took, right? It was all just people coming in at the right time, me being there, it's just like magic, right? It's not something I planned. It's not something I, wished for or worked hard on. It just happened. It just happened. As a small example. Anyway, yeah.
That's my defined moments in life. Everything significant has been a synchronistic, a random event.
Yes.
Nothing that I've planned. I mean, sure, even with when you make a plan, I like to say, draw your plans in the sand. Like once your journey begins, you're going to come across an obstruction that you were not previously aware of.
Okay.
So there you go. There's Zoom cutting us off right as the conversation gets into the meaty parts, but we're used to that. But that's one thing I love about this space, and I think this space is very, very special because of it. The number of guests that we've had that have simply said, "Now, if you'd spoken to me a month before I got into this space and said this is what you're going to be doing a month from now," like they couldn't have envisioned it. It was such a hard turn. It wasn't even a soft detour. It was a hard turn, and here they are. And I love the open-mindedness. We were just briefly discussing in the Zoom break. In the crypto space, I guess people get into crypto initially because they're aware of the banking scam. So they know they've been lied to about something. So they're open to the possibility that they've been lied to about other things as well. And
I would have liked to think so, right? Because that was my journey. But my journey started with Bitcoin. And unfortunately, what I'm finding lately is many of the newcomers to crypto, they don't have that same journey. They don't have that same foundation of the Bitcoin knowledge that teaches you about the evils of money, right? They still don't get it. They're still falling for the Wall Street traps. Because understand that I'm going to say 99% of the crypto coins out there are fiat 2.0, ready to steal your value. Watch out. Do not fall for it, guys. Be careful. Really, be careful.
Oh man, my dude.
And that is a sideline of mainstream adoption.
Yes,
that's why
unfortunately.
the OGs are such a tight little group because they know this, and it's experiences in every field. And
yes.
once it becomes mainstream, the foundational issues aren't there anymore. You've just got the mainstream because it was on the 6 o'clock news. It's time to get into Bitcoin, which is the time to get out.
Yeah, exactly. When your gardener starts talking about Bitcoin, then you know it's time to get out, right? We touched on this in the Discord chat, right? Where you said you sent the joke about action being more important than actually learning or learning about something, because true knowledge comes from experience. It comes from the doing. It doesn't come from the subject matter, right? The technical knowledge about a subject, right? It's one thing reading about something, it's entirely different doing it, right? So that foundation is missing with many new learners in any space. I would argue even just the life space for many of our young generation, right? there's no doing. It's all
Mental.
paper-based knowledge, right? Or no, knowledge is not the right word, because that ties more into wisdom for me, which comes from the experience, right? Anyway, sorry for that sidetrack, but
Not a sidetrack at all.
Totally agree. In theory and practice are the same, but in practice, they're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see, this is the difference between a master and a student, or a beginner, right? The master has failed so many times already. In other words, he knows all of the ways how not to do something, and perfectly how to do something very, very well. As opposed to the beginner, who knows nothing about all of the wrong ways. He's still got to go through all of those failures. Oh, we don't do it this way. Why don't we do it this way? Because this happens, right? All of those failures are still got to be learned.
Yeah.
It's not there.
And it's a common theme in a biography, whether it's Thomas Edison, whether it's Colonel Sanders. The book is full of failures. You read
Yes.
the story of a
Yes.
successful person, but it was persistence and
In
continuing that finally you found, the 1000th attempt the light bulb worked. You had 999 failed attempts first. And you touched on another issue there very dear to my heart, as far as like the doing and the thinking, or what you're in. When I read something interesting, or even listening to a conversation, it's not what I've read or what I've heard, but what I think about as a consequence of what I've read or what I've heard that is actually the profound moment. But if you're not in that if you haven't read or listened to that particular snippet, then you're not in the frequency to then have the next step, the next thought.
Step.
So yeah, it's very important. And I've listened to a lot of interviews, and like the People's Guild is one of my favorite podcasts. And again, just the guests that you get on, and Bitch Angles has got away as well. They go like on this tangent as well.
Yes.
That you can't do in a lot of spaces. You can't have these conversations with the next door neighbor, with the person at work at the water cooler or at the lunchroom making coffee.
Well, I've tried and failed miserably, right? And kind of like been turned into the black sheep, that stands in the corner, nobody wants to talk to, right?
Ostracized, yes.
That's what happens most of the time.
Yeah. Whereas in this space, it's more like, oh, he's one of us. Come in.
Yes.
We had an expression in the Navy. It was called the DFE, or the dead fish eye. Nowadays it's like the Homer Simpson. You start talking something, they just like the mouth drops down, the eyes just go open, and you can tell that it's just nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. You just walk away. Yeah.
Sure. I find it actually painful to have small talk conversations with people. It's not something I do easily. So I just avoid it entirely, rather.
Yeah. I went through the proselytizing phase of my life, felt like the mission I need to let everyone. But yeah, after a while it just wears you down. And you thought you can't go. Like, if you want to be the good Boy Scout, you want to help the old lady across the road. But if she doesn't want to cross the road, then no one wins.
You're not going to force her across the road just so you can help her, right? It's like, she wants to be on that side, just leave her alone, man. Just leave the lady alone.
Yeah. And then you got the karmic consequences. If someone's not ready, and you pull them, that's on you. You created that. You got to do. You're gonna have to deal with that. Yeah.
That was a very difficult one for me to understand and learn, but I eventually did, right? And here's how I believe it works, right? I believe there's like these levels to souls, to life, right? And I believe we start at very low levels like, let's start basic, earth, air, water, fire, right? Very, very basic. And then we move up, we graduate into the animal kingdom, where maybe we're an ant, and eventually we're a dog, and eventually we're a cat and a pet in someone's home, right? And at that point is when you learn how to become your or to take ownership of yourself, right? Before that point, you're part of the animal kingdom. You're part of a group as opposed to being an individual self. Then the next step for you would be graduation into a human body. And then, through the lifetimes, we learn. And some of these fish-eyed people, the people who we consider dumb, are people who are early on in their journey. They still need a lot of laps, so to speak, in order to catch up. Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
perspective.
definitely. The whole Hindu philosophy within yoga as well perpetuates that. That's their story. This is what happens.
Yes.
I also like how Jeff Bowick, Max Egan often talk about NPCs, where a lot of
Yes.
the people you
Yes.
interact with, they don't actually have a soul. They're pure. In fact, this was mind blowing for me. One of Max's videos, probably a month or so ago, was talking about this new computer game where they're incorporating AI
Mhm.
into the NPCs.
Mm.
Because if you're farming on some game or you're doing something, that this interacting, whether it's a merchant or a quest giver, the NPCs, they can get so annoying with their little script
Dialogues.
that
Sure,
they have, right?
sure.
So they're
Very irritating
incorporating
sometimes
AI into it. And in
to
this
make it more
game,
random.
someone recorded this clip. There's this particular AI they interacted with,
Mhm.
and the NPC seemed genuinely like confused, like, what am I
How are
doing
you?
here? Like,
Yeah.
and he was saying, I have a
Oh,
family
he was
back in
shocked.
Wisconsin.
What?
Help me.
Help me. Why am I
I'll
here? Oh my
tell these
God.
people where I am. I'm stuck. I
Yes.
don't know.
I don't belong here.
And he's saying, like, if they are like the soul trap, or the well of souls, and they are, whether it's through the jab or other means, taking people's consciousness and downloading them into games. And
Oh
it
my
was like
God.
really this AI NPC
Okay.
seemed generally freaked out that he was in this game, and he was asking
Yeah.
for help.
For help.
Contact my family, like, tell them where I am. And it was like, whoa, are
I
we
mean,
at that level of technology already?
that is the
Well,
elite stream, to keep their consciousness and to live on through physical means in the future. That is the
well,
goal of transhumanism.
exactly. That is
It's literally the goal.
immortality through technology,
It's
right?
literally
But
the goal.
I
Yeah.
believe that's the evil way of doing it, right? There is also the other way, the good path, and I don't really like calling it good or bad, because
Yeah.
it's two sides of one coin, right? They both need to really be there in order for it to function. One can't exist
Yeah.
without the other, right? So as
Absolutely.
much as we don't want there to be evil in the world, there does need to be evil in order for the hero to act, in order for the good to thrive and do what it needs to do, right? Anyway. Yeah.
No.
And it's a scale as well. Like, how do you know if you're good if you don't have something to
It's
compare?
your
How do you know
perspective.
to strive to do better if you don't know that this is back here and you're up there? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Many
even
many evil dictators have believed themselves to be the champion of good causes, right? So
cataclysms, yeah, the
Well,
just
that's
cataclysms,
because
just
you
yeah.
it.
believe you are doesn't mean you are.
You have the it's the opposing forces. You have negative and all that, which attract each other. Or if you put two of the same, they repel, right?
Yes, it's like
It,
magnetism, exactly the
it's
same thing.
very
Poles, right?
magnetic.
Yes,
Yeah, and when you have a circuitry, you need one for the other. That's how
yes.
you get a
That's how
constant.
the flow happens, right?
That's
There
a
won't be any
yeah,
power without those two poles.
yeah.
So important part of nature,
Mm.
right? Because now we're talking magnetism, electricity, good, evil, right? It's fundamental principles of the universe for me here that we're touching
Yeah.
on, right?
It's a circuitry.
Yes, all energy based, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually in
Um,
electricity how voltage is defined. It is a potential difference between two
yes,
states.
AC, DC.
one is called negative, one is called positive, right? Good and
Yeah.
evil, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
light,
come
dark.
on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like that brings us into, and you mentioned before about free choice. Do we have free choice? You know, with the randomness and stuff. How our society, the matrix, is structured in such a binary way of a false dichotomy. And it's a lot
Sure.
easier to funnel consciousness if there's only two directions.
Sure.
And like the
Sure.
salesman says to you, are you paying cash or are you paying by credit card?
Yeah.
And so now you have two choices, and now
But
no
but
isn't one of the choices you were presented with, right? I don't want to
Sure.
buy this at
No, I
all.
don't want to do that.
Yeah. So I think that the free choice lies between the dichotomy. But if you can be tricked into not realizing that you've already made a choice, then you're not going to be consciously making a choice. And I think true freedom lies in being conscious when you make the choice.
So few people are conscious in the present moment, though. That's the issue, right? I find with most people is they're so stuck in the rat race that they're not here. They're not present. They're not fully aware of the things going on around them. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And it's so easy even to
It's the
get pulled
habits.
out.
It's the habits.
Habits, just they're like in robot mode, right?
And when something happens outside of your habits, you get pissed off, you get angry.
Angry.
You
These
know?
reactions,
Yeah, it's
yes.
like, no,
Yes.
no, no, no.
Like how can you how dare you
It's time. It's
disrupt
time.
my procedure, right? It's like what?
But even
No, bro. Let's have a talk, right? I'm here. Do you see me? Hello.
but watching an empathy piece, imagine if we understood this, but we didn't value them as people anyway, and we wanted to take advantage of them. And you
Yeah.
can start seeing how the guys who are doing, how easy it is for them, how simple it is, how straightforward
Sure.
it is, especially if they've been
Sure.
doing it for years. And I look at some of these patronising, you know, that guy that you would have seen the footage, that American fella eating a burger and fries and saying, yum, these fries are great. All you need to do is come in and get your jab, and then you know, oh, yum, a burger, we get a burger too. And just like real patronising. And I remember being really offended by that, like thinking, how do you, what, you know, why are you assuming that this would in any way work to motivate me to do anything? And then I thought, no, he's absolutely being right. I'm not the target audience. I'm not his target demographic.
Yeah, it's not
But
for
as a
you.
whole, he's absolutely right to treat us like that. We, as a collective, are dumb enough to fall for that. We, as a broader group, we deserve it. We deserve everything that's coming, humanity.
And that comes, you know, to accountability for me, which is another thing that's very, very dear to my heart. That so few people take accountability, right? For everything, right? I'm gonna go make a very, very bold statement here that everything that's happened in your life is your fault.
100%.
That's it. Right.
Yep.
Regardless of what it is and how painful it may have been, right? Because I realize that some of these things may be very, very painful, right? But it's still the buck stops with you, right? Take ownership of whatever it is that happened and move forward from there, right? You can be the one to get up and get out of this, whatever it may have been. Yeah.
You can't fix a problem that you haven't taken ownership of. As long as something is someone else's fault, it's not your problem and you can't fix it.
Yes, it's out of your hands. It's out of your hands, right? You need to take ownership of that problem in order to empower yourself, right? That is where your power lies. Take it back. Take it back. Okay.
Yeah.
It's vital for humanity to learn.
So
And that's probably why we give so much power away, because we don't want to take control. And those others who we give that right to, they're the ones doing that. They're the ones like, yeah, we'll take this from you. We'll incorporate this, and we'll here have this a shit on a plate, like you know.
In my opinion, this is why religion was created. Is for the easy way out, right? We hand over our power to an entity that will come and save us. We don't need to do anything. All we need to do is wait. Oh, that's so easy. I can wait. Can you wait? Yeah, let's wait together. Let's wait
Yeah.
and do nothing. Let's wait. Okay, that's awesome.
And then that was
No,
taken to a whole new level with the QAnon Donald Trump party. It's like, just wait, trust the plan, trust the plan,
Yeah.
just wait,
it's
don't
the new
revolt,
version.
don't,
It's the new,
yeah,
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 yeah.
new version.
I
Same
see
story,
that.
right?
Mhm.
It's yeah, yeah.
Trust the
Sad.
plan, trust the science. Here's some money too. Shut up.
Sure, 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 sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but if everyone, tapped into that consciousness, that whatever you want to call it, the Godhead, well, we'd all wise up pretty quickly as well in the same
Yes,
taking. We'd all work together for the collective causes and for the collective, I guess, if you want to call it good, or the benefit of us, instead of progressing, like feeling like we're progressing, but yet there's people taking advantage of those progressions, and we get the short end of the stick, right?
Yeah.
It's literally just people feeling entitled to more or taking more, and then trickle down effect, we get less on the bottom. It's really a
and
pyramid scheme. It's
that's the
literally,
thing.
it's just people who have enough balls to step on everyone else to get to the top, and then that's it. That's all it is. And
So
then they have organized crime, and whoever tries the same to do the same as they step them out, they stomp them, they take them out, and that's it.
they
And,
kill
and,
them.
and
Yes,
that's it.
yes, yes.
That's all it is. It's just mafia. It's just
Yeah, sure.
one big organized
Have
organization.
Have any of you ever come across the Law of One series of books slash recordings?
Is that like I am Ra, that
Yes,
stuff?
that's
Or
the
So
first
that
one,
is a
Law
very
of One. Yeah.
yes, exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
Right.
Mm,
So in
Yeah.
the books they speak of the paths, the two paths to enlightenment, or the two paths to one, right? Two paths back to the one. The one path is service to self, right?
yeah.
Service only to you. The other path is service to others. So the service to self path is obviously the one that the people, these type of people that you're talking about, these type of people that are on the path that will step on anybody, that will kill anybody, that will take out anybody that is in their
Anybody.
way
Yeah.
on their journey, because it's only about them. There's nobody else in this pie.
Hmm.
Okay. And the other journey, the other path, is the service to others, right? Which is not entirely only service to others. There is a portion of that that is for yourself as well, because you do need to take care of yourself in order to take care of others, right?
Makes
You
sense.
can't, if you're not a thriving organism, productive body, then
You can't give anything.
you can't give anything. You don't have anything to give,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
A
You have to
sinking
have a
ship
full
can't tow
battery.
another ship.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to charge the
Yes.
battery, right, to keep on going.
Yes.
You got to be a
Yes.
charging station.
But yeah, I mean, this conversation gives me hope, really. I mean, for a long time, I've kind of thought that I was not on my own, because I knew that there were other people out there, but it's not like they're in my circle, right? And this has really been a very, very amazing chat. Thank you, guys. I mean,
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, it's
it's
you need that. It's again going back to electricity potential difference. You can't have this with an inanimate object. It takes the genuine interest of another person and their input to bounce backwards and forwards.
yes,
And except we're not going
yes,
backwards and forwards. When this happens, it's a spiral. We're actually going. If you're just a broken record, then I remember back in early 2000s, I was part of the in my crusade sort of stage.
sure,
I was doing
sure.
public speaking, like Truth Movement Australia, Freedom Summits, and all that.
Wonderful.
And I think I was going to these meetings, and it was I was speaking, and it was the same people in the audience every week, and
Yeah.
all they were there for was a reason to get angry.
Really?
And I realized this is like in the process, I guess, like I've referred to as the Alex Jones stage.
Yes, yes.
These
So,
psychopaths,
yeah, anger.
it's like get angry, but
Which,
what are you doing when you're angry? You're feeding the system with this. You're
yes,
doing what they want, and then you
yes,
get into like
yes.
what I call the David Icke phase, where now you're being
Okay.
presented with solutions,
Yes.
and then from there it's up to you.
Do you act? Don't you
Yeah,
act? Do you do nothing? Right? Do you choose to do nothing? Do you choose to continue being ignorant? Or do you take the step? Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. You know, for me, it's kind of like the process of, let's call it the 9 steps, like they have in alcohol in AA, right? So anger is part of the steps of opening your mind, right? Because you do need to get angry about the things that's been done to you, right? But you shouldn't stay there, right? Experience the emotion, right? Understand it, feel it, right? And then, move to the next stage, which is, action stage. What am I going to do to get myself out of this situation, right? Solution stage. And that's what's not happening in many cases.
And the action stage, that's probably one of the most important. Actually
Yes.
putting into action, right? Like, wow,
Yes.
that's like
Yes.
like the physicality of things. Like it's so
Yes.
easy to think about things, but actually doing, that's another ball game.
This is for me fundamentally what makes Bitcoin so great is that action. Sorry to totally take it into a completely different tangent here,
Nope.
but
All
so
good.
through proof of work, Bitcoin is one of the very, very few cryptos out there that takes action from the real world, energy in the form of electricity, and puts it into the digital world, giving that token actual real value, as opposed to just an inflation-based system, just a fiat 2.0 based system, right? And that for me is the key fundamental difference between most cryptos out there and what Bitcoin is.
Well, that is a solution and an action that was done to create such a thing that it's a problem reaction solution, right? But
Yes, well, they specifically created it to combat this, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
The proof of work was a key. I don't know if you guys are aware, but very recently, some of the emails between Satoshi Nakamoto and the people he worked with came out. And he came out and
Really?
said that, right? He made this statement. That's why I'm also making it, is the fact that he made, without proof of work, Bitcoin would not have been able to succeed and do what it needed to do. It was the last piece of the puzzle to bring something from the real world into the digital world to make it a functioning economy / store of value / method of exchange, money 2.0, in other words, better than money. What money should have been all along, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But was corrupted.
Before it got taken off the gold standard and whatever else.
Yes. Well, I mean, even the gold standard has issues, right? Because gold has issues, right? For example, right, if gold had to increase to the value of what Bitcoin is, what would happen? Suddenly, you would have mines popping up, gold everywhere, more gold would be produced, price would go down.
Yeah. And being from South Africa, you'd recognize this with diamonds. Like diamonds is such a super inflated commodity. There's warehouses full of diamonds.
And it's fake.
Yeah.
Do you know that they actually create diamonds in artificial labs? I know personally people at De Beers that do this for a job. Okay, they grow these diamonds in pillars. Okay,
Really?
chop them up and they send them out. This is such a fake industry. It's completely false.
Wow.
There's no real value in the diamond industry. It is absolute nonsense.
Yeah, I've always thought, like, why, at the jewelry shop, like, why are diamonds so cheap? Like, aren't they supposed to be? I know why now, because the West and everyone else,
there isn't real scarcity.
Yeah,
it's a fake. It's a artificially created
manipulated
scarcity by De Beers, right? they are a monopoly when it comes to diamonds. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
I remember one snippet I saw on a documentary, and they were saying initially when they started marketing diamonds, like how do we market this to the group, and they were interviewing all these women, and like that was their target audience, women
Yeah.
like diamonds, and
Sure.
they found it that they don't. They
Yes,
weren't
they don't.
interested, and in
They
that
prefer
time
gold.
era, culturally as well, a woman in this time era, she was more interested, like, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for your, I want the newest vacuum cleaner.
Oh, right.
I want the
Devices.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Sure.
instead they started marketing to men saying, this is what women want.
Women want.
This is what make women happy.
Change the target. Okay.
And
All
so
right.
the men started buying diamonds to
They
give to women
thought,
who didn't really
because
want
that's
them.
what women wanted, but they didn't really want them. But yeah.
Yeah.
And it's you know, I think there's way more value in other things, right? Get a sapphire or a ruby, which is much more
Opal.
prettier, right? An opal, or gold, or some precious metal, right? Or even no ring at all, right? I mean, why do you need a ring?
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, sure, I get there, you know, there needs to be a bond between a man and woman. That part I agree with. I think that's very important. You know, our family units are crumbling at the moment, and it's partly to blame for the state of our young ones, right? And the way they think. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Targeted mind poisoning on the youth.
Very much, very much, and it's been very. It's been a long process. Operation Mockingbird.
Yes.
It's real. Look into it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Great movie too. And when you mentioned getting back to the action stage, and again with the false dichotomy, it's like a pinball machine, right? When okay, you get angry, you realize what's going on, I want to take some action, and then off you go on the particular course, but you end up falling down one of those holes in the pinball machine. It's like you need to be conscious, you need to be present, and recognize, oh, this is another hole. I'm just going to fall back down and start all over again, type thing. Avoiding the pitfalls, and you know, before the internet, it was so easy to control the information available to people.
Sure.
After the internet, you can't do that anymore. So now it is the age of disinformation. If you can't keep information from people, give them a whole lot of information they're going to take the rest of their life sorting through it, and they're never going to know. Because now, even the stuff we're talking about, we're never going to know.
No.
We can speculate, and we say, I feel this, I'm in tune with that, but
don't know.
We don't know for sure. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You know what it is? I think there's no certainty in the physical realm. Everything breaks down, everything transmutes and changes. So whatever, everything's bound to change eventually.
That is the only certainty here, is the fact that it does change, right? So of that certainty you can be sure, right? It will change. And that's perhaps a good thing as well, right?
Yeah.
I think we've got to congratulate ourselves on the action that we're taking right now, having this discussion, the viewers watching this, engaging with this community, because what we're doing is we're taking the power to print money away from the people who've misused that power to print money.
Yes.
And we're decentralizing that, which is a huge action to take. I've got friends who go on protest marches and they're like, Matt, why are you just sitting there playing your video games? You should come out and get something done with me. And I'm like, why would I go and beg and plead with our owners to be better owners? That hasn't worked for decades. How about we sit down and I'll teach you about crypto? Oh, no, where's my flag? It's like, feelings aren't outcomes, right? Let's get it done.
Exactly. And that's the better approach, right? That's the better approach. And you're right. I think we should celebrate that, because, you know, this I think is the start of it, right? Us speaking our voices, making ourselves heard, as a collective, as as and we may be a small group, but you know, in unity, our voices can be stronger and
Only
we
way to
can be
change
heard.
something,
Yes.
like to make a bigger splash, is to all collectively be on the same page, which most people find is utopian, but it's the only way. Only way. You need a
And here's how it
nation.
starts. Have you ever seen that mime with the politician on the walk the plank, right?
Yes,
On the
and one
cliff
by one they
edge.
all get off.
Exactly. So, and then one guy says, "No, I don't want to do
Mm.
this," right? And he steps off. And then the other people, like, you know, they turn and they look around and they say, Then they start to question, "Do I want to do this?" You know. But how does it start? It starts by one guy speaking up.
Yeah. I'll drop that meme in right at this point. And also at this point, we are going to get cut off by Zoom any second. So
Wow,
thank you.
it's flown so fast.
Yeah.
It has.
Thank you for coming on. Been a great conversation. And this is the theme, behind the avatar. Next time you see Damore come up in a battle, whether you're depressed because he beat you, or whether you're excited because you won, this is a person, and this is who this person is. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you.